Happy Friday, everybody.
How you doing, Rob?
Happy Friday.
Morning.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Good
Give everybody
morning.
a moment to get on.
Happy Friday.
Broadcasting live from Tucson today.
From where?
Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Now, Tom, are you in the building or from home?
I'm at home.
Okay,
I'm at home.
wonderful. So I see, I think I saw Frankie there. Frank Delpesh, are you on?
Rob, I'm here, but not in person because I upgraded after a year of not upgrading my computer, I upgraded it to Windows 11 and did a wonderful knockout of everything. So I have an IT call after this to try to get me back up and running, but you can hear me, so that's all that matters.
Yep. So I want to ask you and maybe our other lenders, are the conversations of tariffs impacting the long bond and interest rates?
It's a day by day thing, Rob. I mean, the last 10 days have been great for the bond market. I mean, we were at a 457 yield on the 10-year. We're at a 425 today. So the last 10 years have been great. I know that, that the stock market and the Nasdaq especially has been getting crushed over the last couple of days. So I don't know. I gotta say it's been crazy, but all I know is rates have come down significantly, anywhere between 50 to 60 basis points in rate. You're looking at 30-year probably in the mid to upper sixes versus 2 weeks ago, upper sixes to low sevens. Even on our government loans, we're in the low sixes to mid sixes now. So whatever they're doing, so far it's working in our favor, and I've seen a lot more pre-approved buyers coming out of the woodworks getting pre-approved. So it's really one day at a time. Inflation is still not at the 2% level that the market wants to see, but maybe they're talking about now increasing or adding another rate cut this year. So I don't know. I mean, it's just all I know is we take it day by day and looking at the rates and the market today. But stock market's doing okay today, much better than it has in the past couple of days, but rates are good. So, I don't know. I wish I knew, but whatever they're doing, just keep doing it because rates are starting a downward trend over the last 10 days. So let's just keep this momentum going.
So I'm going to give everybody permission to celebrate the fact that we're the only marketplace on the planet where you can lock in a 30-year fixed rate or a 15-year fixed rate. And I think we take that for granted.
We could do
And
any other increment too, Rob, not just 15 and 30. We could do any increment of one, but yeah, you're right. But your point was, celebrate it because like you said, other markets just don't have that.
right, and I'm not a big regulation person. I think regulation just creates a lot more red tape for all of us in our lives. But I do remember early on in my career, there were a preponderance of loan products that had prepayment penalties. So in other words, to get the best possible rate, if you refinance, you had to pay a penalty. I have not seen, I know there's probably some products on residential that are state chartered or like bond programs that do have prepayment penalties, but it's extremely, extremely rare in my opinion. And we're blessed with that as well. So please, don't take for granted, because, I see many of us on this call are many years in the business. We're what we call veterans. But let's have that rookie energy about and excitement about, what home ownership has to offer. One thing that I saw when I was out at the R4 convention, and I would encourage everybody, if you've never been, to at least put that on your list of activities to do at least once. This is some of the trends that they talked about, and I do want to go through the NAR buyer and home seller report study that they do. but the average home buyer and the average home seller is significantly older than it's ever been. I want to say the average home seller is age 63 now. The average home buyer, I want to say, was 56, which these are all record highs. Okay. And there are some beliefs that are extremely limiting beliefs that I think we need to arrest as an industry that say that Gen Zs and some of the younger population are unable to buy properties. Okay, there is a who believes that it's difficult or almost impossible for somebody 35 or younger to buy a house in the environment we're in right now? Raise your hand if you're on camera.
It's not impossible.
So, everybody's either not listening or you believe it's possible. So then why do you think so few people are doing it? Do you think that our consumers believe it's excessively challenging or possibly not possible for them at this time?
A little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both of that. Prices are higher, so a lot of people are just holding off, waiting. We've talked to a lot of buyers, a lot of people, and everybody's just kind of holding off to see how everything settles.
Also, this is the lowest that we've had in any savings. Our savings accounts as a nation is very low. So I think people think they don't have the money and they're not aware of the DPA programs and other assets that are available to them.
Exactly.
So the consensus is, and if you disagree, you can chime in, that it's possible, if not likely, that people can do it, but it's just, it requires a commitment and a sacrifice to do it, right?
Well, so
Yeah.
it's also a lack of education and knowledge. If people don't know, they're just going to assume they can't do it. But it takes people like us and mortgage reps and agents to explain this stuff. We know what they don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
Who on this call bought their first house over 30 years ago? So, Mark Feingold, when you bought your first house, were you like, this is nothing, or were you like, wow, this is going to be stressful? I really stretched. You're on mute, Mark.
No.
I don't remember stretching. I remember it wasn't easy and there was a lot of paperwork. I felt that, that was a little peculiar, but that was a co-op also. So what made that stressful was going through the interview process. We had a cat, there. It was nuts. But
Did you have to bring your cat to the interview? I'm just
pretty
kidding.
much.
So, and maybe Mark, you're not the best case, but I remember even when I was younger, my parents talking about when they bought their first house, how they thought they wouldn't be able to afford it. And yeah, I had to hear that during the holidays, and the legend of what a big risk it was, because like they were the first in the generation to buy their house at a younger age, because their parents, both my parents' parents, lived most of their life in apartment buildings. And I'm going to guess, Lisa, did you feel stretched when you bought your first house? I saw you raised your hand, Lisa Malcerisi.
So that was a long time ago. It was in 1995. So I remember applying for a mortgage, and actually I didn't qualify. So
it was stressful.
yeah, it was stressful. And then I had help from my families, but it was stressful because
You had help from, so this is what I'm talking about. 30 years ago, it's the same damn thing we have now, folks. Okay, student debt might be a little bit higher now, but you know what? People, the younger workforce, many of them are making tremendous income. How many times have we come across somebody, and maybe either as a lender or in our profession as helping buyers and sellers, have we come across a buyer or a couple that are making $200,000-$300,000 and can't save 2 nickels.
I just
Okay.
had, like, literally, I just had a guy with a rental. He's renting a $5,000 home. He's making 15,000 a month. And I had to ask him because it really bothered me. Why aren't you buying a home? It's like you have the income. He doesn't have the savings. But when I looked at his credit report, it was shocking to see that he had more than about 30% on some of the cards.
Wow.
And I mean, if he just fixed that and saved some money, just sort of think that would have helped him out.
So Anna, that brings us to the question of what our role is, right? One of the themes when I was out at the R4 was, RE/MAX is the most trusted, most professional, and most productive in the industry. And I think all of those are kind of undeniable. And hang on, let me mute everybody.
Why? Looks like we're closing next week. Beautiful. I'm talking.
Okay. So we're the most productive, most professional, and thus we're the most trusted in the industry. Okay. And I think, having the brand, if we're not an extension of the brand, it doesn't mean anything. Okay. But when you look at, the people and Trish Lehane, are you somewhere where you can talk?
Yes, matter of fact, thank you. So I think young people today want the lifestyle that they grew up with. They want to be able to afford what their parents and we've worked for 30, 40 years, and they want to live that same lifestyle. But I seriously believe it's our responsibility to educate them and bring them into home ownership and create that generational wealth.
Right. And Tricia, our job right now is not what it appears to be. I think like the public, pigeons us into, I want to buy a house and we drive you around and show you what you can buy, or I need to sell a house and we help you position it to sell. That's really not enough anymore.
No.
Okay. What we need to do is we need to be able to understand the market and understand the tremendous obligation that we have. Because I know, Anna, you mentioned that, and I can see the confusion when you talk about why would somebody making such good income, not even consider buying a house. Like paying $5,000 a month in rent is just like, it's like throwing your money in the trash can.
Yeah.
But I have some theories about this.
That's literally what I said. You're throwing your money and you're never going to see it back. I mean,
right.
if you were to purchase, you would be able to see some investments.
Right.
I just like to chime in one more time, Rob. So I'm going to be listing a property in Chandler in the next week, and it's been a rental that my client paid $215,000 for, and we'll probably sell it between $450 and $500. But I told her to invest some money because most young people, when they take out their mortgage, they aren't going to be able to afford to put the new into it. And new in that area, it's not going to cost a lot, but they don't have the resources and they don't have the money. So they need to be able to buy that ready to move in. Anyway, thank you.
So thanks for sharing. And I believe, I believe in real estate. Okay. And I think it's part of why I'm so passionate about what I do. And, going back to my roots when I was a lender, I always remember that if anybody was ever referred to me about financing, it was just a matter of when. It wasn't a matter if they couldn't qualify. And I didn't understand my peers would call somebody up and say, hey, Anna, this person doesn't qualify, they can't buy a house. I never would have that. I would always be like, you know what? Like Lisa Malsavisi said, when she didn't qualify, her family helped her, right? I would always give them options and solutions because that's what professionals do. We give options and solutions into things that we believe in. So, whether it would be, if you don't qualify, maybe you and your sister can buy the first house together, and then you can do a cash out refinance for one of you to buy your house, your next house. There's always so many possibilities that people can exercise when they're buying. And I think that that's part of the business that we're remiss on. And we are waiting for people to identify a need instead of helping people recognize the possibilities. Okay. And I have to give a shout out to Frank and Michael Gopi and their team for re-energizing myself, because they do these home seminars. And every time I do one, I am reinvigorated to carry out my mission. And everybody should have this top of mind. Homeowners are 40 times, not 40%, not 4 times, but 40 times wealthier than their counterparts that are of similar financial status, but renters. So you have somebody making 150,000, that's a renter. You have somebody making 150,000, that's a homeowner. Okay. If you look at the swath of those people, the homeowners are 40 times wealthier. So somebody making an income like your client, Anna, might have a net worth of $50,000. Okay. But if they're a homeowner, their net worth is $2 million.
Yeah.
That's a significant life-changing event. That's generational wealth. I think, Tricia, did you say that word, generational wealth? Yes. Okay.
Good.
So
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
So if we redefine, if we take our amazing position a little bit more seriously, and how we have the ability to not just be a transactional player, but to change people's lives. People, if you help somebody that never thought they could buy a house, are those not the most rewarding transactions you've ever had? Right? And I remember things, that I'll probably remember when I, am out of the business. I'll remember certain events, like there was a transaction in our office in Westfield where, this young couple didn't believe that they could buy a house, right? They when they completed the closing, the agent gives them the key, and it fell through their hand because they couldn't believe it. It was almost like it was made for a movie, right? It's like, here's the key to your house, and I can't believe it's mine, right? So they were so ecstatic. They took the pictures, they rang the bell, they did all that stuff. Then they leave. And 10 minutes later, they come back. And they're like, is Sandy there? I'm like, let me see if she's here. Nope, Sandy left. They're like, oh, we just have one question. What's the question? Can we actually go into our house now? I was like so touched by that moment, right? Because during the process, think about what we don't even think about is when you have a buyer, right? They're like, hey, can I go there to measure? No, you can't. It's not your house yet, right? You can't go there. It's not yours. And now all of a sudden it was theirs, and they couldn't believe that they could actually go drive to their house. Okay, those are things that really have an impact on me personally, and it surpasses money. And over time, the contribution that you make will equate into benefit to us personally. But those are transactions that you can't put it's beyond the commission. And I think that if we redefine our role, and I'm disturbed by the fact that the average homeowner's age has gone up into the 50s, and I think it's a belief that people can't do it. And I think it's also maybe it's a personal choice for a lack of education. And I am not contending that we try to convince people that don't want to buy a house. But Ann, I scratch my head when you see somebody spending that kind of money on rent, and they could be building wealth, right? And we're not educating them. That's a mighty obligation that we have to share with our consumers.
Rob,
our
can I
clients.
jump in just real quick too? And I had sent Anna a private message. In a situation like that, I would be doing something called a purchase plan, not a pre-approval, getting the client ready for the next 3, 6, 9 months so that they're not completely off the map. They're not putting the purchase transaction out of their mind. So someone like that, you should say, speak to my lender, let her put together a purchase plan for you, and let's get them on a regular plan so that they can purchase something in the next 3, 6, or 9 months.
Okay. Thanks.
And it's really somebody with that income. It's never that far away. Good, Howard.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Tricia hit on something that I think is potentially really an important source of help for our younger people. She hit on generational wealth, and I'm wondering, in the group of people we have on today, how many of you have experience working or concentrating a marketing effort to parents? Because I'm wondering if a real source of help for our kids, today it really has to come from the parents in many cases. And it's amazing how little money could actually make such a huge difference in the kids' lives. When you've got down payment assistance programs where literally a first-time buyer today can get into a home for almost zero. I mean, when I say almost zero, they might be out of pocket $400 or $500, but not $4,000 or $5,000. And you look at, I've got experience with agents that have helped their sons or daughters buy their first home, and it's amazing how far $20,000 can go towards the purchase of their first property, or even more than that. But I mean, the joy that a parent has seeing kids move into that first house is incredible. And I don't think as agents we do enough to educate the parents on how valuable that experience can be. Has anybody had any experience actually targeting parents to help generational wealth help their kids get into their first home? Beth, you have? You're muted.
No, it's, especially, I think I learned a lot of it from the mortgage business, but in the real estate business, understanding loan products that are available really helps us be able to do that. And so back in the day, we did the kiddie condo where, you have your kids and then the adults being able to purchase together to continue on that home ownership dream throughout the generations. There are a lot of loan products available that really we can learn and introduce to those people to help that pass on.
And Beth, you know why I believe personally that real estate is not part of most wealth building plans from financial advisors? It's a very self-serving answer.
They're not making money on it.
Correct. They're not making money on it. So who's the only person that has the ability to have that conversation? It's us, right? And if we're not having that conversation, I will tell you that these wealth advisors who make commissions or they charge a percentage of the money they manage, they don't want you to know that homeowners are 40 times wealthier than their renting counterparts, right? They're going to say buying a house is a lousy investment. You should take the money you would have put as a down payment and invest it in stocks and bonds.
Well, then we need to ask them if they own a house. Because most of them do, those wealth advisors, so to speak.
But I mean, if not us, then who? If not us, then who? We're the most trusted, right? Then it's not optional. Okay. How many of us have clients that have kids that are you know, here's the logical thought. Okay, we have, you know, my clients are going to be empty nesters. Maybe I can get their listing because they want to downsize, right? And in all areas, there's a migration pattern when, you know, children leave the household, right? A lot of times, you know, maybe they'll buy a smaller place. Sometimes they'll move in Florida to the East Coast, closer to the water, where the schools aren't as important, right? We all think like that. But why don't we think about educating them on how they could, you know, buy while their kids going to college, they could buy a condo or a 2-family and let their kid, instead of paying dorm fees, build wealth while they're in college. The only reason that doesn't happen is because A, it requires effort, right? And B, maybe we don't have the talk track to get that done. But after you
Rob,
do
I
it
did
once or
that.
twice,
I
like
did
it.
that 2 years ago with a Colorado client that was going to have her son go to ASU, and they purchased a townhome, and he had a couple of buddies, and they put the mortgage in his name. So in addition to the value increase, he basically lived free, and now he has a credit rating that is exceptional.
Can I interject something? Years ago, I bought my first house 50 years ago. I remember New Brunswick Savings and Loan was holding the mortgage. It was 30-some thousand dollars. I had $10,000. We put it down on that home in Edison. And I'll never forget how it just grew well in wealth as I stood there. But I can say one thing, as being an advisor or being as a broker, many times I would definitely have the parents come in and talk with the kids and take part of the deal. Sometimes the kids did try to do things on their own. They didn't even include their parents. And I think that's very prevalent, what you're saying. Include your parents in the conversation. That only can help you grow better.
Rob, there's for the parents who have kids that are going to college, this month is the month that students start looking for their home for next year. And usually by summertime, they've locked into it. At ASU, it's not uncommon to have, well, and Wilson, you're aware of this at U of A, it's not uncommon for a student to be paying anywhere from $1,100 to $1,500 a month for one bed. That's one bed and in a place to live. So at $1,500 a month, that's in 3 people, that's $4,500 a month that they're used to paying. Their parents are paying this. Now, FHA has what's called a kiddie condo loan. That's KIDDIE condo loan. The maker of the note is the student. The co-maker is the parent. So when the student graduates from college, they can take the gain on the home tax-free. So instead of ending up with a box full of receipts at the end of college, they could very easily have a net gain that is totally tax-free, money in their pocket to buy their next home. But in the meantime, the real payment on the home is being made by the 2 or 3 roommates. We'll just round it off at $1,300 to $1,500 a month. And you know, it may not be as much fun as the fraternity house to live in, but if the student that's the maker of the note has any foresight at all, they'll make sure that the lawn is mowed and the place is cleaned up once a week and they don't destroy it. But what a great deal. Instead of having a box full of receipts at the end of college and college debt, the student could avoid $1,000, $1,500 a month expense, and the parents would avoid having to hawk the farm to do it. And for 3.5%, they get into it. I just wonder if you can get a first payment or get a first-time home buyer assistance on a loan like that. I don't know, but that loan has been around for years. My agents have heard me do the drumbeat, but the timing
Date.
right now for parents.
Put it to practice.
hang on.
What was the date that we put it? How many years ago?
All right, Howard, you have to unmute yourself there. So you know what the beautiful thing about these meetings that we have, Howard, are it just gives me inspiration and ideas. Okay, and you know what I think, not what I think, what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal a page from what Frank and the Gopi team did, and I'm going to put on a virtual first time home buyer event via Zoom, where anybody can invite their clients, and hopefully I can do some of the heavy lifting. And the difference between how we source the audience for this is not advertising on social media, not trying to go everywhere to get people, is our agents contact people in their sphere and database who we could help and say, you know what, Howard, I care about you. I want you to invite your son to come to this event, and I want to give you an education. It's not a sales pitch. I want you to understand what's possible, right? Because what is the media telling people about home buying now?
It's scary.
It's
It's
too
good.
expensive, student loans are too high, the rates need to come down.
Right. So the media is in the tank for the wealthy people that are building all these rental properties. Does anybody in your community have high-end luxury rentals with all these amenities in your backyard? I know where I live, there's 4 new communities or 4 new buildings put together where the starting point is $4,200 for a 1-bedroom. Now, what they do have is they have a wonderful common area. They have, you know, pool, all the amenities, right? It's like a lifestyle play, but it's a ticket to being in perpetual debt, right? You're making somebody else super rich. And Howard, I drive around here in Scottsdale. I see all these new developments, and most of them are rentals, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So our youth is being misled to believe they can't afford something. Okay, they're being trained for immediate gratification, right? Hey, buy a new Mercedes, BMW, no money down, right? You'll just be in debt for, you know, for the next 5 years. And you know, I think that if we were to do this event, or when we do this event, you know, I would just encourage everybody to maybe invite 5 people and hope 1 or 2 of them show up, and think about how you might be able to change lives. Right? You know, the people who are thinking of going to college, maybe they want to buy a kiddie condo. You know, maybe, just maybe, call me crazy, people will buy before they're 56. You know, the average home buyer, that's crazy.
You know, we do a lot of this stuff with reverse mortgage as well. With reverse mortgages, we bring the whole family to the table to discuss the financing and the plan and the finances. So this is a great idea to sort of bring everybody in with first-time home buyers. If we're already doing it with the seniors and people that qualify for those loans, why aren't we bringing it in? And I'm actually now starting to do a lot of loans in Colorado, and I cannot believe the rent inflation in the Denver area. It is similar to New York and New Jersey. So yeah, if you have someone that you are trying to convert, I mean, you could literally just show them what that rent means, you know, via mortgage.
I have a question. On the kitty condo, does it have to be a parent, or can it be a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle?
It can be an aunt and uncle.
I think it can be frankly, correct me if I'm wrong, it could be aunt and uncle, it could be a friend.
It could be a friend.
I think.
Yep.
They just have to realize they're co-signing for their child.
Yeah.
The maker of the note is the kid. So they're building credit too.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this charging, please.
Oh,
Yeah, it's done. Don't touch my stuff.
So Tom and Howard, someday I'll get everybody to mute themselves when they're not talking. But you know, I actually don't even think about this as work, right? Like, in other words, if you can educate and help somebody, you're not selling them, right? You're not. they're gonna sit there and they're gonna realize that this makes sense or it doesn't. And your job is just to make sure that you've given them the possibilities, right? You've shared with them what they can do, and don't let anybody else control the narrative of what is and what's not possible. Okay.
Years ago, in Ninja Selling, they always said you are in charge of providing information and the client's in charge of making the decision. So our job is to make sure we provide as much educational information so they can make a clear decision and feel good about it. It's pretty
Yep.
simple, really.
I mean, Beth, have you had people who, you've helped them make a decision, maybe they were uncertain, and then, I think somebody earlier mentioned, might have been Trisha, that, they sold their investment property, they bought it for $245, sold it for $450, right? I mean, that's massive.
Huge.
Like,
So they're
huge.
retiring in Tucson area with the equity of both of their homes that they had here for 8 years. So no mortgage.
So if not you, then who? Nobody, right? Think about that. If you're not going to be the one that goes out of your way to provide them with that information to make a decision, then who? Right? This should be for, everybody that is on their own, wasting a lot of money on rent. This should be for, every parent that their kids are going to be going to college. And even if they decide that they don't want to do a kiddie condo, maybe, start planning for, buying a property at some point instead of just, wasting your money on a brand new car. Like for me, I would defer buying a new car until after I bought my house. It's just the way that I'm programmed. I drove around in a beater, but I owned 2 houses when I was 24, 23, whatever the age was, because I knew that the real estate would appreciate and, the car would just go to zero. No offense to you, Howard, but they go down in value mostly.
Most of the time they do, including most of them that I buy.
But that's a hobby, not an investment, right?
It's a non-profitable hobby. That's correct. Yeah.
So anyway, does anybody?
I've got an idea. We always coach our associates to maintain contact with their clients. And boy, I'll tell you, you run out of content oftentimes. What am I going to talk about today? If I call Bob and 5 others that are on my client list, what am I going to talk about? Well, since looking at the pictures here, no offense, but a lot of us appear to be over 50, which means we've probably got a number of clients that are aging. Why not use the content of what are you doing to help your kids create wealth for themselves? Have you given any thought to it lately? And do you realize that when you die, you're not going to see any joy on their face when they inherit your wealth? So if you'd like a little joy, why don't we consider what we can do and what you can do to inspire your child to build wealth outside of just buying some stocks and bonds? It's a great topic. And nobody likes to think about dying. Nobody likes to think about what's going to happen to their estate. But deep down inside, we all worry about our kids and how they're going to make it in today's difficult world. Now's a good time to help them. It doesn't get any better.
And Howard, I also think that if, let's say the children of our audience are able to do it on their own, it has a different impact than if they inherit the money, right? If they're part of the process. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about give them a house. Give them some starter money. Just give them a little taste. $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 will go a long ways.
Yep. Or even give them an education and a little bit of it. Maybe it's even a little less than that, because if there's a will, there's a way, Howard. Like you can get somebody to, the old, cut back your Starbucks and, go out to eat twice a week instead of every night.
Yeah.
It makes a
I
huge,
see, I
huge
see
impact.
Tyler on this, and I think he's going to hit me up for $20,000 or $30,000 at lunch today, just for grins.
Exactly. You want to start an investment portfolio. I see that, Howard.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So,
I do like that idea. I think that could be a great idea. You could even do a mailing to your sphere to kind of bring that up as a possibility. I mean, it's difficult today. I have two sons right out of college, both going for their master's degree, make decent money, but that whole $400,000 market or less has disappeared. And so part of the issue for them is going from a $2,000 rent to a $5,500 mortgage. And they worry about what happens if I lose my job, what happens if food prices go up, what happens if I can't save anymore. So it's been difficult for them. And then, we see a lot of people buying up inventory as investors, and that's not helping the Northeast because we have such a shortage of housing. But anyway, I like your idea of reaching out and potentially, broaching the subject of perhaps helping their kids out a little bit.
something has to be done. In my
So
opinion.
I'm sorry, is there a way to pull, how would I pull? I farm a certain area. So let's say I want to pull people that are 63 years old and older in their home 20 years, as a potential prospect.
Does anybody have an answer to that before I have my answer?
Go on your county records and just put in sale date or demographics. That should do it.
It'll give me sale date, but I don't know if it's going to give me age.
If you go back long enough, trying to think, if you go back long enough, you might find someone that's been in their house 20 years.
So I think some of our title affiliates have the ability to source that data. And then there are some companies that will do that for you as well. The most reasonable one that I'm aware of is a company called The Share Group, THESHARE Group. And what I would suggest is buy a small segment and test out the data points.
Rob, sorry to interrupt. Cole also does that. It gives you the age of the owner, when they bought it, what they originally paid for it. So that's valuable information.
Could you repeat that, please?
Cole Realty, COLE Realty.com, right?
Yes.
And I believe we have a complimentary subscription that I provide for, I think it's New Jersey and Florida. I don't know if we have Arizona tied in yet. But that's another resource that you could borrow. You can go to your office manager and get the login information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So sorry about that. Anybody else have any other ideas on how we can deserve the most trusted position in the marketplace? I think maybe also Howard being the most caring, right? That's kind of goes along with trusted.
Yeah. Trust is earned. It's not a declaration. You have
Yeah,
to
you
earn
know,
trust.
and the other thing about, you know, being part of a brand, Howard, is, you know, you're not by default, you know, perceived as being productive or trusted, just because you have access to the brand. But I think if it's consistent with the way that you conduct your business, it basically, you know, 1 and 1 is 5, not 1 and 1 is 2, right? And sometimes, you know, being part of, I just look at all the, you know, ironically, most of the people on this call are the people who arguably don't need to be on the call because they're on the more productive spectrum, but they're here because they're on the more productive spectrum of the industry. And you know, aligning yourself with others that, you know, command that respect, being part of a brand that promotes, you know, I don't know how many times I see the billboards, you know, most trusted, you know, agents, you know, most productive, you know, it gets into the public's, you know, mind, um, as opposed to all these, you know, fly by night discount companies, right? Where if you think you know brand doesn't matter and it's all about the cheapest solution, then you know Remax is probably not the right brand for you. But if you want to, you know, align yourself and you know, earn a living by providing more value, okay. I think if you're at a discount company and all you do is open doors and put together contracts that people tell you to do, as opposed to taking stock and investing in your clients, you know, it's just it's a different place to be. You know, you can get the best deal on the wrong house, and that's not a good deal. If you're a discount company, then you're not educating people because you don't care, right? You're just an order taker. And you know, we're the opposite of that. Okay. You know, um we're the beacon that can really, you know, change lives because we care.
Well said.
You know,
So
I just had a thought that, you know, we have clients, you know, that may be our age, the older people, and their kids have kids that are getting ready to go to college, and their kids own a house, and they probably don't know anything about a kiddie condo. There's a whole, I mean, I'm just thinking that I've got a granddaughter that's going to be going to college probably in about 3 or 4 years. I'm going to have that. I'm going to be back in the Nashville area with my grandkids next week. And I'm going to have a conversation with my son and daughter-in-law about that. You know, she's looking maybe to come to the University of Arizona and stuff. And I'm going, God, you know, why not buy something? You know, why not have your kid, like you said, Howard, you know, when they walk away from college, they're not walking away with receipts, they're walking away with cash in their pocket.
Yeah. A credit rating, cash in their pocket.
Yeah.
They've learned little bit of business acumen. You know, make sure you got the right roommates and make sure you collect your rent on time. And you
Yeah.
know, just it's kind of a good experience all the way around.
Yeah. But that was just a thought of mine going, how many clients do we have that have kids that really have kids that are starting to go to college?
Or nephews and nieces.
Huh?
So
nephews and nieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next Friday, I'm gonna announce the dates that I'll do a buyer a real estate educational event. Okay, I think it's going to be, you know, designed for maybe the first one is for younger buyers, and then the second one is for kiddie condos, or maybe I'll do them together as one. And you know, if people see this, they will come to you. Like, you won't have to sell them, right? They'll get it. And if they see it and they decide it's not for them, that's fine too, because we've at least exposed them to what's possible. I think what the worst thing would be, Tom, is let's just say that, you know, you shared with one of your clients that they could do this, right? And then 5 other clients, you never took the time to give them a call and let them know what's possible. And everybody gets over to your house for a barbecue, and one of your clients is like, oh my God, my kids are all like so wealthy because they bought their house in college. And your other clients are like, Tom, you never told me that. Like, who would want to have that feeling? Nobody, right? So, you know, I think that, you know, being trusted, you know, comes with stipulations, right? And those stipulations are you have to go out of your way. You can't just do it when it's convenient. Hey, you know, Howard, my business is slow. I'm going to go tell people about how great it is to buy a kiddie condo. And then when my coffers are full, I'm going to stop doing it. No, it's not how it works. Right? You either do it all the time or you don't.
One thing I'll say is that this is not something for your round to it file. I'll get around to it. The kids are out shopping right now. And before they get out of school in May, they will have selected, the responsible ones will have selected where they're going to live next school year. So it's important to get going on it right now.
So Howard, do you want to know what one of my fears is with this whole thing? And you might be able to relate to this, but let's just say that we, you know, put on this educational event, and Tom goes and tells, you know, 5 of his clients, and 4 of them show up, and only one of them does it. Okay, our industry will say, boy, that was a failure. I had 4 people attend and only 1 took action. And I think that that's like, for me, that's like, holy cow, that's like one of the best marketing activities ever. 1 in 4 actually took action. And not only that, but Tom, you've exposed yourself in a positive light to the other 3 people without having a shameless call to get them to be in front of you. Does that make sense?
Sure does. And all of the parties out of that one will become clients for life. They owe you.
Right. I mean, they'll see you as providing value, giving them options.
Yeah.
So Tyler, what did you post?
I just said, I mean, I've always, I think agents kind of have a stumbling block when it comes to coming up with ideas to share with their sphere, like a reason to reach out, whether it be an email or a phone call or a text or something like that. The kitty condo thing is something that just is not prevalent. You know, a lot of agents don't know about it, and more importantly, a lot of consumers don't know about it, like we've been saying. So, you know, don't look at the intended recipient as the target. Think about all the people that they know as well. They may be able to share that information with. So, yeah.
To clarify, a kitty condo is not a condo. Doesn't have to be. I think
Right.
some
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
don't know
Sorry.
about it think condo, but it's just the loan type.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, yeah. Phrase it whatever you feel is necessary, obviously. But you know, the program itself is what you're trying to promote.
Can we get some
Yeah.
kind
Good point,
of
Beth. Thank you.
some kind of information that we could distribute to our clients? Is there a place to find out about that? Does lenders have that information for us?
Yeah, if they're an FHA approved lender, they certainly should have it. It's more, Tom, it's more of a marketing acronym that's been given to the program. You know, FHA has allowed this kind of lending for years.
Well, yeah.
It didn't have to be a condo. It didn't have to be a child even.
Yeah.
But anyway, the maker co-maker thing is important, and the 3.5% down is important. Put
It
a
allows for cosigners is really what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the program is. Well, like you said, it's not specific to a condo. It's if you have a parent and a kid and they're buying a place near a college or a university, the parent can co-sign. That child can live in it with some friends and, you know, have the friends pay for the mortgage. And like you said, when the kid graduates, you know, the house has so much equity, take that equity out and go buy something else. But it's just a term, really. It's just it's just co-signing for a loan.
Well, the beauty of that particular loan is they take all of the income, all the debts, all the assets, all the credit of the all the people that are on the mortgage. One has to occupy the property, where when you look at a conventional loan, for example, there are specific debt to income ratios for that occupant. So when it's a college student, they may have absolutely no income, but with everything combined, it's still a qualifying mortgage. With a conventional, it's a lot more strict. So the FHA is a beautiful product for being able to pull people in, help them establish credit, and get them onto their generational wealth. Mortgage hat is on.
All right, so I look at this has been a very interactive event. I wanted to just share one piece of news. Remax has come up with a new logo, and I'm going to share this with you guys. And of course, our early adopters, the donor wasn't even out there. This is the new logo, and you can put yourself in the middle of it. Okay, so a little bit more of a digitally enhanced logo. And you know, when I was driving down this morning, Tyler and I were talking about, you know, some people love it, some people hate it, but everybody's talking about it. And I think that's the good news about it, is a lot of people are talking. Anybody have any opinions on it?
Love it. How can we get it?
I love it too. I think it's great.
Yeah, it looks good.
How do we get it?
You have to
I
take
think
your own.
it says that, you know, it says, I'm Remax. I
So
like
guys, it's not to replace our existing logo at the moment. It's to be something to add on and enhance what we have digitally. They're not asking all of us to change our signs and open house signs and everything today. This is just where the brand is going. So if you go on Max Tech, there's all these new just different divisions, Max Engage, Max this, Max Marketing. And so you can find everything on Max Center and just start exploring. You have to sign in again probably, but everything is there. You can take what Adona did and amplify it times 10. That's just like a start. You could put your cityscape behind it. That's really nice. So no more line, you know, it's really, I would say some people are comparing it to Pepsi, but I think there's a lot of opportunity with it, and I think you can use this for a lot of great online purposes.
I like it.
I think it makes a beautiful signature.
Yeah, I like it.
I just posted some stuff in the chat log. You can email me your photo and I can create this for you. Assuming the photo, you know, I'm not, I don't want to oversell myself, but I haven't run into a challenge with it yet. So if you email me your photo, I can reply and create that similar logo that Udona had with your photo instead of hers, obviously. And then
you put your, and Tyler, you put your email in the chat.
Yeah, it's right there. Tyler Leon at remax.net. And then the Dropbox link is a bunch of stuff. Instead of having to go find it on remax.net, I just kind of dropped it all in a Dropbox folder, and you can browse through all of it using the Dropbox link in the chat. And
Thank you, Tyler.
You're welcome.
And resources.remax.com, you'd also have access to getting the new logos, and if you wanted to play around with it yourself, that's another place that you can go to. So anyway, I really enjoyed today's session. You know, I'm super pumped to try to help more people and really just redefine what we do. You know, we could change lives. Like, we can create generational wealth. We just need to be vocal, and we need to not let other people, you know, determine the narrative that rates are too high, prices are too high, interest rates are too high. I mean, insurance rates are too high in Florida, right? So, you know, Lisa, what are you gonna do? Wait for the insurance rates to come down, then everybody else is bidding prices up, or you want to be bold and buy now, right? And that's a decision that you need to make, because inevitably, when insurance rates get under control, which they will, prices will go up. Okay, it's inevitable. And I was talking to somebody earlier about New Jersey and the Northeast. We have more of an inventory shortage. And I was talking to a younger agent, and I said, well, eventually it's going to be inventory is going to build up. I don't know why, but it will, and you're going to need to pivot. And just because you're newer in the business, you've never seen it, you need to expect it. It's going to come. It's not possible. Just like gravity, things go up and they go down. Right, Tom? You've seen things go up and down in real estate?
Yes,
Right?
I have.
And you and I have never thought about doing anything different when the market changed, did you?
No, never.
So anyway, everybody have a productive weekend, and I hope I gave you some dialogue to have some productive conversations in the days and weeks to come. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Great session.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Ron. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.